Well, hello there, it's Greggy Soriano, and today we are going to make a birthday cake for our favorite English hot toddy, pun intended, Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm going to show you how to sculpt a violin from Sherlock and make Dr. Strange's Cloak of Levitation out of sugar. First, we're starting off with a cake board, and then on top of that, we're adding just a little bit of buttercream, and then our first bottom layer is a chocolate cake, which is infused with Earl Grey tea. Then I made a simple syrup infused with Earl Grey tea as well. And then on top of that, I'm adding a layer of buttercream, and then sprinkling it with a generous amount of English toffee bits. Then another layer of chocolate cake, and then spritz it with Earl Grey tea, and then another layer of buttercream, and then another layer of chocolate cake, and then top it off with another layer of buttercream. We're going to do an 8-inch, 6-inch, and 4-inch cake. Right now we're making Dr. Strange's pendant, and we're doing that by grabbing some fondant and rolling it out. And we're using a plain round cookie cutter to make the overall shape, and then using sculpting tools to embed the emblem right onto the fondant. Once the emblem is dry, we're going to cut out the negative space with a sharp blade. We're grabbing another piece of fondant, and we're creating an eyeball shape. Now I'm grabbing some lime green paint, and I'm painting on the pupil. I'm grabbing some edible gold luster dust with some vodka. You want to top it off with your emblem. Now we're making collar brooches to Dr. Strange's cloak, and you could do that by using fondant or gum paste, and then use sculpting tools to create all of the little indent and all the details. Grab some edible gold and vodka and paint on the gold. Grab some red fondant and roll it out really thin. Dr. Strange's cloak collar actually stands up. I decided to use a bowl, and I'm using it as a mold. Right now we're making a fireball, and we're doing that by cutting a round, large circle. Now I'm using some sculpting tools to create the emblem right in the middle. I'm also sculpting out some extra detailing, and place it right over the top of the bowl to create that dome shape. Now that our fire dome has dried, we're painting it with some yellows and some reds and oranges, and I'm just mixing colors to make it look like fire. Now we're sculpting a violin out of fondant. Your hands are your best tools whenever you sculpt, but you could also use sculpting tools as well. I'm using some tweezers to really get in there to create that detail on the body of this violin. Now I'm rolling out a thin piece of fondant, and I'm creating the neck part that holds the strings. We're using a wooden skewer. I'm using some pliers, and I'm partially snipping it off halfway, and then I'm bending it. And then I'm rolling out a really thin piece of fondant and cutting it into a strip and then attaching it to this stick. Now that our violin has dried, we're going to attach our little neck with some royal icing, and then grab some paint to paint on the little details. Now I'm using a number 1 tip of royal icing, and I'm piping on the strings. Grab a liner brush with some dark brown and paint on some scrollies on each side of the strings, and then outline the entire violin with the same color. Be sure to paint your violin bow or stick as well. While the royal icing is wet, you want to place on the pendant so that it acts kind of like a glue. A little bit of water goes a long way. Grab a round flat brush and paint some water on the back side of the cake. We're doing this so we could attach our red cloak, and I'm gently placing it onto the back side of the cake. I want to give it some movement, like it's floating in the wind. Our cloak collar has dried, and I'm adding some royal icing and attaching it to the top of the cake. On top of that, I'm adding our collar brooches with some royal icing. Attach the fireball to the middle tier and secure it with some royal icing. Now I'm piping on some royal icing to each end of the damask paper, and I'm attaching it to the cake, just like wallpaper. Now I'm grabbing a paintbrush with some yellow gel paste and white gel paste, and I'm creating a smiley face, just like the damask wallpaper in the movie. adhere the violin to the cake with royal icing. I have a number 70 leaf tip that I filled with yellow buttercream, red buttercream, and orange buttercream. I want to create fire when I pipe it on. Paint the top tier with some royal blue gel paste. Now I'm going back and retouching the pendant with more edible gold. Here's a quick tip on how to remove cornstarch on fondant. All you need is an airbrush with some vodka or any clear alcoholic beverage, and what it does is it evaporates as it dries, so it totally disappears. And there we have it, our Benedict Cumberbatch birthday cake, complete with a sculpted violin, damask wallpaper, tons of fire, and Dr. Strange's Cloak of Levitation. If there's a cake you want to see, comment down below and let us know.